Greetings to all. I hope all of you are doing well. I'm going to read a couple of lines by Ramesh Balsekar, which is a letter that he wrote to God. Letter to God. Dear God, this is my letter of eternal gratitude to you. You gave me birth in the most respected Hindu family, but not high enough in social status to make me proud. You gave me a physical form, well admired for its perfection, but it was small enough to keep me humble. You gave me education high enough to be most useful in life, but not high enough to make me proud. You gave me a career in which you took me high enough to be admired, but not high enough to make me arrogant. You gave me a wife and family for which I have always been eternally grateful, but you did not spare me some grief to remind me not to forget what life is all about, and to be always grateful for what I do have. You did not forget to place an adequate number of temptations in my way, so that I may not be too critical of others who have to face their own temptations. I am now 84, and perhaps the only wish that remains is that the long life you have given me will not carry a burden at the end. But in that case, I know you will give me the necessary courage to go with it. You gave me a lot to show me how little is needed to be content and how much could be given away. And undoubtedly, the most important of all, as if the bounty you have showered on me were not enough, you crowned your achievement by using this psychosomatic apparatus to convey to the world the most important message of Advaita. Truly, I am blessed, or indeed, my beloved, have you not blessed yourself? Finally, it occurs to me, if you were to design for yourself a life in phenomenality, could it have been much different from this one? And for this thought, no tears are enough to wash your nominal feet. One of the most touching moment of this letter for me was one where Ramesh says that you gave me temptations so that I can be compassionate towards those who are going through it right now. Who are in that unconscious chase for betterment, for acquiring something externally to make life better. Once a realization hits you that you're not the three-dimensional object, but the awareness, it can be a bit challenging for the three-dimensional object, the mind, body, organism, to come to terms with this fact that others have their journey or exploration, which is yet to be made. So the temptation rises in the body to correct them, to tell them, to teach them, no, this is the right way. So Ramesh came up with a very beautiful thing where he expressed everything not as the truth, but only as a concept. And he said, I'm only giving you a concept. It's up to you. You see if this concept stands your experience. And he says, all I ask you is take the pointers and just reflect on them. This gives the other the capacity to reflect, to contemplate. It gives them the opportunity to experience it for themselves without just believing what is being said. And one of the most beautiful things about this letter is that it starts with the gratitude and it ends with the gratitude. This concept frees us from the burden of responsibilities that we carry towards the world. But it points us inwards to experience the sense of responsibility, the ability to respond. Because when we believe that we are the limited three-dimensional object, traversing something called life, which is separate from us, we live in reactivity, moment to moment. We are only reacting to life, to what is being presented. Because we live with concepts in our mind of how things should be. So when things go according to our preferences, we create pride and arrogance, which again leads us to the cycle of pain, alternating pain and pleasure. The pleasure of being right, followed by the pain of pride and arrogance. And when things don't go according to our way, then we experience another cycle. A cycle of guilt and shame. Guilt being, I did something bad, and shame being, I am bad. Both creating a personal story. I did something, or something was done to me. When it is realized that there is no personal entity centralized in charge here, but things are happening by the three modes, as the Bhagavad Gita says. Tamas, Rajas, and Sattva. Tamas being inertia, Rajas means high activity, and Sattva means harmony, a balance. In Sattva, there is no separate entity doing anything. And you must have observed this, that when you are quietly peaceful, there is no sense of me. You don't have any words to say, I am peaceful. But when there is suffering, identified as the movement of time, where the mind is either lurking in the dead past, drowning in sorrow, or it is lurking in an imaginary future, drowning in fear and anxiety. It is in that you come here into alertness, into presence. And that is what Ramesh is talking about here. Because there are no stories in the present. There is a sense of responsibility. Nisargadatta Maharaj said that it is so ironic that this moment, which is so joyful and so peaceful, is so difficult for us to stay here. We leave home only looking to find way back home. And spiritual awakening or realization is this understanding that nobody left. That is why suffering can become a pointer to find the way back home. It doesn't mean putting oneself in difficult situations deliberately. What it means is when the difficulties, the challenges of life shows up, attend to the content of your consciousness, the feelings and emotions with compassion, giving them total attention. We are so conditioned to resist what is, and we repeatedly experience pain as a result. There is pain in the moment, and then there is fear of pain, which happens as suffering in horizontal time. We lose awareness, alertness, or in other words, we lose connection to ourselves, our most natural state. And every time that happens, suffering is experienced. There's nothing to be done other than to simply see what is happening. As we attend to the content, to the thoughts, feelings, and emotions, we eventually get to see what they're really made up of. How we have been operating unconsciously to the same triggers, same situations, same financial issues, same relationship troubles, same reactive patterns. Because we always contemplated escape. We never were totally present to what was arising. Sometimes even the mind contemplates an escape by conceptualizing or intellectualizing. An example would be bad things happened to me because I did some bad karma. And we get caught up trying to know what is the right karma. And then the mind gets even more entangled. When you see this whole movement of time from past, how it modifies the present and then projects an image into the future, and this whole movement is seen, you realize that nobody ever did anything, but everything was happening. Actions were happening and corresponding reactions were happening. This knowledge frees you from the guilt that you did something bad, or that you could have done something in a different way. And as one becomes free of that guilt, and free from that cycle of guilt and shame, the organism is seen to react considerably less. And overall, there is more peace. However, sometimes a reaction can happen, even with the deepest understanding. It is in those moments when Ramesh's teaching becomes so potent. An example would be someone who's been meditating for years. And one day they have an altercation with their partner and they say something hurtful, bang the door and leave. And then experience a tremendous guilt. I was so spiritual. I did this meditation, this sadhana for so many years, yet I reacted. That is the ego, the separate self, trying to gain entry through the back door. Saying, look, you were always a fraud. You were always a fake. I knew it. In that moment, if we can hold ourselves in love, in compassion, and just feel the entire thing without creating a story or a judgment around it, then it does not lead to shame. And of course, one can apologize for that reaction as an act of compassion. But one does not live with that sense of guilt that I did something wrong or something bad. Because at any point a reaction happens. There are infinite number of variables acting on the human organism. It does not require doing anything other than to just see what is going on, what is happening, without getting caught up in the story. And that does require courage because we are addicted to stories, we are addicted to dramas. Dramas make us feel alive. But that's temporary happiness. And the long term consequences are usually not that good because most of the time one lives with the sense of guilt and shame, constantly running those stories. Every time that happens, bring attention here. That is the only pointer. The mind may still crave to go back to the story. Don't fight it. Allow it to do that too. But you see, the moment you allow it completely without resistance, you notice that it isn't there anymore. The resistance is not there anymore. And when the resistance is not there, the original feeling also goes away. That is why Ramesh's core pointer was all there is consciousness. The substratum, the source and substance from which everything arises and into which everything subsides. And he presented it not as the truth, but only as a concept. Ramesh got a good job, a good family, but he had his share of troubles. People have gone through something. They don't just start talking about this. I would read a final quote by Ramesh Balsekar, which again I found uh, very beautiful, and I think it summarizes this whole talk in just a couple of lines. Probably I should have done that earlier, then I wouldn't have to give such a long talk. All right. So here is the concept for all of you. The most soothing words I can tell you are, it does not matter whether you get enlightened or not before you die. After death, the identified consciousness of a psychopath and that of a sage merge with the same source. It makes no difference to the ocean whether the dirtiest water or the purest Ganga merges with it. I would just say that our suffering is because of our identification with the limited. When we realize that we are the ocean of consciousness, the words that are used in the Hindu scriptures are Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat means being, Chit means consciousness, Ananda means bliss. The conscious being is bliss, is joyful. So, if the dirty water flows into you, through something unkind being done to you or said to you, it does not affect you. It cannot touch you. Because your nature is spaciousness, vastness. The reason for suffering is identification with the limited. Because when you put a dirty water in a mug of water, it will get dirty. But if you put the same water, throw the same water in the ocean, nothing happens to it. So be the ocean. All right. We can take a couple of questions. So you can raise your hand and I will unmute you. Yes, Rin.
Thank you. You shared the story of the person who meditated for years, and then had an explosive reaction to their partner. And you talked about that as the ego trying to enter through the back door. They shame themselves. Would you consider it the same if that happens internally and it does not take form externally? Maybe not even angry at a person or something that happened. It's just touching those places of completeness, connectedness, and then losing it over and over again and feeling those feeling that feeling of separateness and essentially using that to shame oneself as well. That somehow you're not spiritual enough because I have felt that connectedness and then I lose it. And I think it's instead of holding space for those emotions and that experience in that moment, uh I think what I'm hearing you say is that is just another example of the ego trying to get in the back door.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. Whether it is something externalized as a behavior, or even if it is appearing as a thought, as a trigger, as a strong emotion, it's the same thing. It's the same movement. But you see, that is not a failure. The mind, again, it is the same ego that spins up as another thought and says, "Oh, look, you failed. You probably are not doing enough spiritual work. You're not doing enough meditation. You're not doing enough sadhana. You're not paying attention to yourself. You must be stronger." You see, it keeps on spinning these stories. So, this is where Ramesh's teaching was so helpful because he said that in a moment, whatever arises is in nobody's control. Because in a moment, whatever arises is impersonal. We think that it is our ego, but it's not actually an ego, it is an arising. The ego comes up as another thought. It's just a thought. And it comes up with this charge saying that you have failed. And that creates a sensation, that creates hurt. That, I have been doing this spiritual work for so long. I have tried this, I've tried that, yet I'm not able to calm myself. Therefore, it means I'm not enlightened yet. Therefore, I need to do more work. You see the trap? We keep going on and on and on and on and on. And then there is no end to anything. But the masters say, he says, cut it right here. Recognize what is happening. Just watch this whole movement. They say it does not matter whether a reaction happens or it doesn't happen. The thought has arisen in the mind, the reaction already has happened there. Whether it externalizes or not, it does not matter. See the movement and see what the dialogue comes up afterwards. In that vision, this whole trick of the ego gets exposed. So you see, the organism by nature is very peaceful. And how do we know that? The way we know that is, yes, momentarily we may experience anger at certain things. There may be certain triggers. Now, these are hardwired things, from childhood. So they do not go all of a sudden. So that's not the problem. The problem is what comes up afterwards as a sense of guilt. Oh, I failed. I could not control myself. I should do more sadhana, more practice to calm myself. But you see, that guilt is the currency we pay to continue the behavior, actually. Because that guilt is perpetuating that cycle of shame, guilt, and shame. I did something bad, therefore I am bad. So subconsciously, we start believing there must be something wrong with me. So we keep on repeating the same stories, the same triggers, the same behaviors, and we keep on creating judgment towards ourselves for failing, for not being adequate enough to understand this. We compare ourselves to other people. Look, they can be so calm. Why can't I be so calm? So this is a whole trap. So once you see the whole movement, there is nothing to be done other than to just hold ourselves in love and compassion in that moment and say, okay, fine, this has happened. All right, this thought is coming. I am going to attend to this thought completely and I'm going to let it do whatever it wants to do. In other words, I'm not trying to modify it. I'm just trying to give it complete space. And Usually, at some point, it just doesn't bother anymore. It can be witnessed.
Thank you.
Yes, David.
Jagjot, thank you.
Hi.
I'll personalize the story, and you've been helping me through this the last few talks last week. So I just got back from Mexico City. I
Mhm.
think I talked the last time about losing it with my partner, who is now my ex-partner. Um, my challenge, and I mentioned before, seeing the stories and seeing what the ego's doing. This helps today because what I get stuck with is the story of badness from others that gets projected onto me, and I see it, but it's like clothing that I wear, and so then this is the dynamic for me. Uh, I need to do something for them, and then my spiritual practice gets activated, which is to say, and I know there's codependency there, but it's tricky for me because I do feel the other person's suffering. I do have compassion. I do want to help. And I struggle because, so I hear you. It's practice. Go into myself, the feelings, rest with what's coming up. Uh, I'm not doing anything because there's no way to do it. It's just a series of conditions that are arising. Witness it. Uh, but it where I get stuck is this compelling thought that, okay, now do something. Apologize, fix it, offer compassion. And the other, tend to find people that um, I don't want to blame them, energetically that uh, sort of uh, plays this story out with me.
Mhm.
And all the observation, uh, it's tricky because it's not leaving me. Like I can rest in presence, and then the other person or situation or conditions compel me to act.
Mhm.
And so I guess maybe that's my answer. Don't act, don't do anything. But then I feel I'm drowning. And again, I'm a psychoanalyst. I've done enough psychotherapy. I can go into my head and analyze it, and that's my defense. And then I try to rest in my body with what's coming up. It just, and maybe this is the deeper teaching. I want to say it doesn't end. Suffering doesn't end.
Yes.
Uh, and I want to say to you, like, when does it end? When's it over? Where's that bliss? The Sat Chitananda. I mean, because all I feel is my suffering, the other person's suffering, uh, and my capacity to hold it is, I mean, it's totally broken, which is why I'm broken up right now because I just couldn't hold it. Uh, so I don't know if there's anything you could. I want to say, what am I doing wrong? And there is the story. What am I doing right? And there is the story.
All right.
Uh,
I would say consciousness acting, pretending to be David, is thinking that he is broken and he wants to fix something, but he doesn't know how to fix it. A reaction happens, a sense of regret happens, which is very natural. So, to apologize is something very natural. Even I do this. Even I react sometimes, to somebody around me, and then I do apologize. The only thing is, no story ever gets created in my mind about either myself or about the other person. That capacity is not there anymore in me. No matter what has happened, even when people leave, I don't create that story. I let them go with love. Or if people come back, I welcome them with love. So there is no fear in that way. So you are the consciousness. You are not broken. You are the consciousness. Now, as far as this equation is concerned with other people and trying to fix, sometimes it so happens that you cannot actually stop the reactions because it is so ingrained in the pattern is strong. In that case, it just runs its course and there is suffering experienced. But you are able to see your suffering, that is a beginning. Being able to see that it is causing us suffering, knowing that this is happening, and because of this tendency to try to fix, yes, of course, it is true that when we try to fix the other, we are abandoning ourselves. But you see, we are so habitually used to it that we just think that it is important because a sense of self, my sense of self percolates into the image of the other person, not the other person in reality, but the image of them. So, in other words, I'm only interacting with myself even when I'm trying to fix them because I'm trying to create a version of them that suits my imagination. If I can see that, so I would say, well, let me complete. If I can see that, that drops. I would say, if you can hold on that urge to immediately fix, let's say for a couple of minutes, then there may be a possibility that this insight may happen that, oh, maybe this does not need fixing. Now, don't take this as a practice from me because it may not happen. Sometimes there is not even enough awareness to hold that gap, but sometimes there may be. So I remember dealing with this challenge myself. And most people who come to, who follow spiritual path have this trait of codependency. And they're and they carry a huge judgment towards themselves for having it. They see it as brokenness. And of course, we think that we need to fix it. But you see, everything is already fixed the moment we just come back. So coming back home is the only option. After that, whatever is happening, let it happen. In the moment, whatever happens, let it happen. Watch what is happening afterwards in the spare time when the stories are running. That is where hold those stories and see that, okay, this is what the mind is presenting right now. It is presenting hope. It is presenting fear. Hope and fear are the same. I mean, two sides of the same coin. I may be able to fix them. I may be able to create a version of them that may suit my imagination. So I'm not actually dealing with the person at all. I'm not even dealing with myself. That is an escape that I've contemplated for myself in fixing them. So that just propagates this behavior. But rather than seeing it as a bad behavior or a failure, I would say just look at it, just be present to it, and hold that compassion for yourself while all of this happens. And the master's guidance, the bodhisattva's blessings are here with us. I mean, we have so much wealth of knowledge, wealth of wisdom around us. And also, I would say psychotherapy and also, most beautiful tools are available to us. Most compassionate people are available to us. There are people here in the community also. I am trying to, find a way where I can actually extend the session so that all of you can interact with each other also. I haven't been able to figure it out as yet, but maybe in the time to come, we will open um, once the session is done, we will just open the room for, people here to interact. I think that may be a very that may help, connecting with others and sharing your stories and challenges with others. It may be something beautiful. So, but yes, for now, I'm still figuring it out, but maybe we'll do it soon. All right,
And
Dave.
then,
Yeah.
thank you. And then when the other person is suffering, that's still my story. It's still,
Yes.
however again, whatever the person's telling me, even if they're upset, and how I am experiencing it ultimately is still the ego construction that's just trying to do what it's trying to do and just come back to self or presence and just rest.
Yeah. You cannot do a single thing. You cannot do a single thing other than to just offer presence. Just offer presence. I'm here. I'm here right now. If you need me, anything is needed, I'm here. You can't do anything else other than that. And I think that is enough because presence is the greatest gift. Doing something, doership it comes out of ego. It comes out of my own need to soothe myself. But presence is total love. And usually what will happen is that your partner eventually will be able to tap into that presence and see that, you know, see that as something very compassionate because it is very difficult for us to change the variables externally. Because as I said in the satsang, so many forces are acting on an individual. It is difficult for the human organism to account for each and every force. The moment we think that we know what is happening on the other end, no, we can't. We can't, you know. Yes, we can help to a certain extent, but even um, I'm sure in your practice you must have noticed that you have to remain detached from the client you're talking to. Because the moment you try to get emotionally involved with the client, you get into that emotional state with them, then there is all that stuff of, counter transference and all that. And I don't know much about it, but all those things happen, which can trigger a reaction from you and which can compromise your ability to actually be the presence for them. So even in therapy, all you're doing is being the presence for them. So
That's really helpful. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
yeah. Okay, David. All right. Okay. Yes, Martina.
Always
Hi.
so perfect.
Thank you.
I came with one simple question, but David's sharing today was very wonderful. And I am so happy to watch him go through what have gone through and am going through. So I wanted to speak to that and to David just a little bit, that what I have found as the people pleaser, as the helper of the family, as the first child, helper of the family, and helping and fixing other people's pain so I don't have to feel it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The process of this discovery has been lengthy and coming now to some sort of ability in balance when I am present with suffering of others and my own. I know where to go inward. That's the only place to go. So I've learned that path over the years. What was the most startling for me when I discovered that the reason I was helping others was not pretty, that I was helping others to get something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was supportive so that I would be seen.
Yeah.
And it was a brutal realization to see that my loving was real. It wasn't unreal. It was just that had a tag to get something
Yeah.
so that I would feel loved. And quite frankly, it never worked.
Yes. Yes.
So the concluding thing in seeing this was that if I wasn't going to help anyone, we're back to Ramana, then who am I?
Ah, yeah. Oh, beautiful. Yes, exactly.
And it is a continuing cycle now of seeing that come up. The first response, which has been there for 80 some years, that response will come up. But now I know that it is where it's coming from. And so I can stop and breathe and actually be with myself first,
Yeah.
and then actually be with someone else as well.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, so beautiful. Thank you, Martina. So beautiful. Yes. And being with yourself is being in presence, is not being in a version that is crafted by us. Usually what we try to do is we try to present a version of ourselves. Oh, I'm kind, I'm good, I can solve your problems. I'm going to take
Yeah,
care
yeah.
of it. And that is where we are avoiding our own pain in trying to help, in trying to give advice. In fact, Ramesh said that do not give advice unless asked for. And if you've seen, I have never given any solution to any one of, any to any seeker, to anybody, because there are no solutions. There are no intellectual solutions. There is no, you know, there is no one perfect teaching that is just going to, open this uh, revelation, reveal this whole thing that, oh, you are consciousness. No, it has to be felt in the heart. And sometimes it happens through pain. And yes, we all have been, including myself, we all have been grade A people pleasers in our jobs, and we have got burnt out because of that, and sometimes even in me, that kind of tendency, even now with all the understanding, it sometimes shows up. But the thing is, I can just catch it. I can catch it and I can see, that's where you're going. But the thing is, I don't create any negative judgment about it. And I'm like, okay, this has been happening for, 40 something years. So, I don't expect it to go away, but I can show it compassion. I can show it compassion by letting it be and letting it play out. So it doesn't translate into an external expression most of the times. And even if it does, I just don't bother. So it's been a good experience. All right, Martina, thank you for sharing. Thank you.
There was one quick
Yeah,
other thing, very quick.
yeah, yeah,
I think it's quick.
yeah,
Um, what is prayer?
yeah,
I had this odd realization just recently of going into the prayer to something out there. And then there was a thought of, well, is it out there or where is it? And
yeah,
if I don't know where it is, what am I doing? Praying.
yeah.
So, yeah, there was just that little twist that happened. So, can you
Yes.
speak to that briefly?
Yes. So I'll just give you briefly what my concept is. We've spoken about this before. The thing is, once this understanding happens that all there is consciousness, the nature of praying changes. Now, the praying may still happen even afterwards, but the nature changes. We no more demand from God, blackmail God, an imagined God, that, you do this and then I will be happy. You must do this
Yeah.
for me. That sense of entitlement is gone, that my life should have this course, because I have seen it happen so unconsciously here with people, where people would torture themselves by fasting for many, many days. Why? Because they want a job for their children, for their son, a good job for their son, for their daughters. And they would go on fast, they would torture themselves, they would go on different pilgrimages, which is like blackmailing a god, and a god that is your own imagination, that is created from your own conceptualization. So that conceptualization ends when this place of wholeness, this place of unconditional love is reached, there is no separation. And in that, one just opens to life and says, let it flow. Let it flow, whether in my favor or not in my favor. Let it all flow. There is a big giant yes to everything. Let the suffering happen if it happens, even that too. And that itself brings a lot of peace. That itself ends the separation. So that's the idea. Okay. Okay, Martina, thank you. All right, we'll take up last question and then we'll conclude for today. Yes, Nina.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Nina.
Hi. Thank you. It's the first time being here, and I also want to thank everybody that has spoken because it's very beautiful, as you said, and it's incredibly candid, incredibly honest. I just wanted to hear your thought about in this in I suppose every concept, as you mentioned, has a certain scope. And when it's in the real life, in different situation, that would have different variation of the format. So when you and other people talk about, when there is some sort of, let's say, character flaw showed up, being angry and etc., and then they will blame themselves. I I mostly understand all of that what you said. I got two kids. One is 5, one is 9. So I increasingly see that in them, and I know that you said we want to help somebody, we should do this thing, but for a parent, it's you're not gonna not do a thing. So I just suppose they are here, they're partially is subscribed for me to somewhat, let's say, guide or
Yeah.
grow together.
Yeah.
So especially sometime when I hear my daughter or my son show that type of guilt or suffering, I I talk to them about what that is, but for a kid at that age, I'm not sure they can understand this concept. So, but that's what I try my best to bring into plain language to show them that the more you blame, like my daughter would say, "Oh, I'm the worst." When something, let's say he did a mistake, and she actually would hide behind, like, just like blame herself and say I'm the worst in the family and like etc. And my son does the same. So I want to hear your thought or how we can help them to understand that fairly earlier so they don't go in this reinforce this cycle, or at least somewhat help them to, like, just, I don't know, just not. I understood because I got out of all this cycle for quite a long time, so I understand how. But I don't, obviously, I don't want them to repeat my past because that's like horrible. But put that aside, how we can help like them to, yes, just hear your thought, basically.
Yeah. So, I can understand the concern. And when my son would come to me and, he would say, nobody likes me, I don't like myself, or something like that. First thing is, without a single word, I would just hold. I would just hold. I would be present and I would listen. Now, the thing is, presence does not mean that you don't have to say anything. You can always tell them that, right now they're experiencing a feeling, they're experiencing a sensation. And while they seem real in the moment, they are not concrete because it is going to change. And when you tell them that, look, right now it is, let's say, 7:30 a.m. or something, you're feeling like this, write it down, meet me at 7 p.m. in the evening and tell me how do you feel. Usually the feeling would have changed by then. You see, that's how they get to understand the impermanence of it. Now, that said, as parents, we can do all these things. But the thing is, one thing that is a little uncomfortable here is that we cannot prevent the suffering of humanity, even towards our children, because they are going to go through hard life's conditioning. That is life. It just comes. My daughter has gone through it. I mean, she's even dealing with the challenges right now. My son has also gone through it. All we can do as parents is be that loving presence where we are allowing them to experience everything, to feel everything. And yes, we can tell them that, okay, if they say, I feel shame about a particular thing, we can just tell them, okay, beta, it's a feeling. It's a feeling. Okay, I hear you. It's a feeling. Just bringing your presence to them and letting them express in the moment is enough, according to me. Because even that sometimes is missed out by a lot of people. And the same thing can go towards an aging parent also. Being there for them, listening to them express can be an act of compassion. Now, of course, one has to take care of one's energy too, because we have to go about our living our daily life. So I understand that. But yes, the worry of just being the right parent or, trying to shield the children from suffering, it may not work that much. We have to accept that, yes, they're going to go through hardships, and which is not entirely a bad thing, because it is a pointer again to wholeness. The only thing that you can do is be the presence, is offer yourself as the presence. That is the best gift that you can give, not just to your children, but to anybody around you. Because
I understand.
yeah, concepts, we can give a concept, we can give when we generally say, don't be like this, don't be like that, usually it adds on to the shame, it adds on to the guilt, because what happens is the child does not have that much understanding, and the child starts thinking, no, I'm failing. Father said that you shouldn't feel like, but I'm feeling like it, like this. I cannot help it. So in that moment, just telling them it's okay. It's just okay to feel whatever you're feeling. I think that can be that can bring them a lot of relief.
Thank you. I don't intend that. I think I understand enough that I will not. I'm not able to, and also it's not my role to shield them from any suffering. I just thought, like, is there like how to bring the kid at older age into this type of spirituality path? Because I just know that that's sort of the only way that type of understanding can really lift the suffering. So, what do you think? I don't want to force anything.
Yeah.
So, if there is no inclination, I don't want to force, but just hear your thought. What way that I can sort of.
I always tell parents have to be the role model. Parents are always the role model. When they see you calm, when they see you in presence, they will, on their own, follow this path. In fact,
I got two parents, so I'm fine. But
yes, yes. So you see, this is the thing, that they don't listen to you. Children don't listen to you. Children see you. Children observe you. They observe your behavior. They observe you talking to other people. They see what books you're reading. They see what content are you watching, on smartphone or any other thing. They see how you are interacting, let's say with your spouse. They see everything, and children are very receptive. That is, at that point, the consciousness is so refined, it is so clear. They don't have those concepts that we have. So they are in a complete state of absorption. So who do they absorb the most from? The people that they spend most time with, that is parents. And parents serve as the role model. So when when you understand the concept, and when that concept brings you peace, you don't even have to worry whether the children will follow. They will automatically follow what is, and I think we can also give them this freedom to, and I'm sure you are a very you look to be a very conscious parent. So I'm sure, because you are asking these questions, so I can make I can make out that you are very conscious about these things. So I'm sure even if they choose, let's say, some other teaching instead of this one, we can also allow them to go through that route. So as long as we see that, uh, as long as we ourselves are awake, conscious, and living in that presence, in the peace of being here and now, then that's enough. Nothing else needs to be done, and they will follow. Your children will follow their destined path.
Thank you so much. So
Thank-
much is very
thank you.
comforting. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
All right, we'll conclude for today. Thank you all for being here, for your presence. And we will meet again on Wednesday for guided meditation. Take care, all of you.